And the safety of journalists across the globe are receiving mainstream attention following reports that Jamal Khashoggi was murdered outside the Saudi consulate. 2018 is already the deadliest year for journalists, with 56 feared dead around the world. Our Jack Watson is with the president of the Syracuse University chapter of Reporters Without Borders to discuss what the organization is doing to promote global press freedom.
And joining me now is the president of the Syracuse chapter of the Reporters Without Borders. It is Camila Grigera. Now, Camila, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, in the mainstream in the United States right now, a lot of discussion happening about press freedom and about the safety of journalists. American politicians on Sunday morning talking to reporters about the case with Jamal Khashoggi, the fact that he is allegedly murdered now. How does this sort of tie into the larger trend of journalists being killed this year?
So basically, this year was recorded as the deadliest year by Reporters Without Borders in the sense that internationally, so far, 56 journalists have died and the year isn't even over. And this compares to 55 journalists the year before. So definitely there's a lot of international tension when it comes to journalists being persecuted and press freedom being repressed. And this was obviously highlighted in the past few years with the Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi, who was allegedly murdered in the Saudi consulate in Turkey, and as well the Bulgarian journalist Victoria Marinova, who was raped and then assassinated. So there definitely is a broader spectrum of persecution against journalists.
Reporters Without Borders, as I understand it, keeps a list of countries based on press freedom. And press freedom is becoming a larger point of discussion, especially here in the U.S. as well as in the Middle East. How do these countries that have been affected by this sort of violence against journalists, how do they measure up to the list that Reporters Without Borders keeps?
So Reporters Without Borders keeps a press freedom index ranked from 1 to 180. So basically it measures how free a country is in terms of their press and their media, 1 being the highest and 180 being the lowest. So Saudi Arabia is ranked 169th, so that is very low, 169th over 180. Whereas Bulgaria is ranked 111. So both of them are very, very low. And basically this just evaluates how freely journalists can express themselves and investigate it and obtain information without fear of being killed or harassed, et cetera, et cetera. And a common misconception in the United States is that we're relatively high, but really we're ranked 45th, which, considering that the United States is a superpower, is not that high. So even here in the US, we face not so drastically persecution, but we don't reach the high standards of press freedom here.
Right, and Camila, the last question that I want to leave us with here is, do you believe that this trend of violence against journalists is an outlier in this year, or can we expect sort of the tragic things that have happened to journalists to continue moving into the next year and moving into 2020?
Personally, I think they will continue. I don't think that this has been an outlier. I think that this has been an upward trend, as can be seen this year when compared to last year. Not only is this year the highest one, but Reporters Without Borders is working on 10 cases currently of journalists that have been incarcerated or assassinated. So with all of the tensions that are going on globally, I don't see this trend going down.
All right, Camila, certainly something to keep our eye on. Thank you so much. Back to you guys.